Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the May 3rd West Fargo City Commission meeting. Before we start this evening, I'd like to encourage everyone to please turn their cell phones off. The two exemptions are Chief Otterness and Chief Fuller is not in the room, but Fire Chief and the Chief of Police are the only ones that we want their phones on during a commission meeting, please. I also want to talk a little bit about a process change that we're going to be exercising here at the City of West Fargo. And this comes in with regard to the public debate or conversation on any of the issues. If an issue that you want to speak to is on tonight's agenda, I'd ask that you please raise your hand, and this young lady over here, Emily, will take your name down and what item it is in particular that you want to speak to. We don't want anybody to be excluded, and we've had, in the last several weeks, we've had people that didn't raise their hand and just assumed that we would call for a conversation about that. So Emily will be the gatekeeper of that type of thing. The items that you can speak towards will be on the agenda items for this evening. If you have an agenda item that is in previous or in the future, that will not be discussed at this meeting this evening. Again, you'll raise your hand, Emily will get your contact information, and your name will be placed on the agenda for a future agenda. The purpose and reasoning for that, and that's by guidance of my fellow commissioners up here, is that we want to make sure that if you're going to ask some specific questions on whatever the issue might be, that our staff is prepared to answer those questions, and if it might take more than 2 weeks to accumulate that information and data, then so be it, and we will keep you advised of what that is. The purpose is to better facilitate conversation with the taxpayers and the public at every meeting. But if we get asked some specifics on some of the projects, we don't have the information here, then it's a moot point, and so we want to keep the agenda moving as quickly as we can. So again, if there's anyone here that wants to speak to an item that's not already listed on the agenda item, Emily is your point of contact right over here, and that's how we'll proceed. Commissioners, want to add anything?
No, very
Okay,
good.
thank you. Please join me in a Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. First order of business is to approve the order of the agenda. Commissioners?
Make a motion to approve.
Thank you, Commissioner Simmons. Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Diedrich seconds. Been moved and seconded to approve the order of the agenda as presented. It has been distributed and it is online. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. My apologies, Commissioner George is not with us this evening. She's out of town on business. Flight got delayed and she will not be able to join us this evening. Next order of business is approval of the minutes of April 19th, 2021.
I'll move to approve.
Thank you, Commissioner Olson. Is there a second, please?
Second.
Commissioner Simmons seconds. Been moved and seconded for the approval of the minutes of April 19th. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Building permits has been distributed, it's pages 7 through 9 in the packet. It is online and it has been distributed to you, Commissioners, in your packet.
I would make a motion to approve.
Mr. Diedrich, thank you for the motion. Is there a second?
Second. Commissioner
Olson seconds. Been moved and seconded to approve the building permits as distributed by Planning and Zoning. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. The next order on the agenda is the consent agenda. There are items A through H.
I'd make a motion to approve.
Thank you, Commissioner Simmons. Is there a second?
Second.
And moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda items A through H. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Before we move on, I'd like to Again, on a monthly basis, we're probably gonna do this for a while. I wanna thank our finance director, Jim Larson, our assistant city administrator, Tim Soberg, and our city administrator, Tina Fisk, for the dashboard. Item number F is a financial dashboard of, the city and how, tax collections are going. And I wanted to, share with you two of the notes that are on the dashboard. With analyzing the first 3 months of activity, we are on budget overall and consistent with 3 months ending prior year. The general funds net is about $200,000 ahead of last year. The utilities, net is also about $185,000 ahead of last year. Based on the timing of this financial dashboard released, we are able to determine that the first quarter 2021 sales tax collections for the city of West Fargo is 110% ahead of the first quarter of 2020. So again, we thank you for, the request that we made that we have a dashboard. Tina, thank you. Mr. Larson, is he in the room? No. We thank Mr. Larson as well, Mr. Solberg, for you folks of continuing to provide us with that data. That's good information and well used by the commission. Did I take a vote on the consent agenda? I did?
I think probably.
Yeah, okay. Next order of business is a regular agenda. The first order of business is a public hearing and the first reading of Lot 3, Block 1 of Dakota Territory, 10th Edition, rezoning from a PUD, Planned Urban Development, to a public facilities. Mr. Tim Soberg, Assistant City Administrator.
Thank you, Mr. President and Commission. It's pretty straightforward. Tonight, this is for the fire hall. The property is currently zoned planned unit development, and in order to facilitate development of the fire hall, the request of the city is to rezone this to public facilities. It is one lot. There is some site plan issues that there's an easement going through, and we've ensured that development of the fire hall on the lot will meet the district standards of the Public Facilities District. There will be plenty of land left over to meet those setbacks and buffer requirements. I am very aware that Chief Fuller has met with the property owners to the east and has accommodated any of the concerns that they have and continues to work with them as they continue to develop plans for the property. So tonight, public hearing is scheduled for the rezoning. No concerns have been noted to date, and no property owners have expressed any concern with the rezoning. And I'd recommend approval along with the Planning and Zoning Commission, who is forwarding the recommendation for approval as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Soberg. Commissioners, any questions of Mr. Soberg?
Just a comment.
Please, Commissioner Simmons.
Thank you. I also met with, one of the homeowners over there, who has been pretty much the organizer. I know over the years past, we've had a lot of issues with that area, and, I want to put that into the record. John Pierce said that this was a good idea, and he appreciated we talked to him, and that he liked it. And so I think that's very important that we have that in there.
Thank you, Commissioner Simmons. Anyone else? Questions for Mr. Solberg? At this time, I'm going to close the regular agenda, and we are going to move into the public hearing. Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak on item number 1, on the first reading of Lot 3, Block 1, Dakota Territory, 10th Edition, rezoning of a planned unit development to public facilities? Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak to this issue? Item number 1 on the regular agenda. Nothing online? Thank you. Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak to this issue? Again, first reading of Lot 3, Block 1 of Dakota Territory, 10th Edition, rezoning from planned unit development to public facilities. Hearing none, the public hearing is closed. Again, any questions for Mr. Solberg on this issue? Anything else for us, Mr. Solberg?
Nope.
Okay.
Make the motion to approve the rezoning.
Commissioner Olson moves to approve as presented. Is there a second, please?
Second.
Commissioner Jurdevig seconds. Been moved and seconded to approve the public hearing, the first reading on Lot 3, Block 1 of Dakota Territory, 10th Edition, rezoning from a planned unit development to public facilities. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Mr. Sobert. Item number 2 is a public hearing and first reading of zoning ordinance amendment to section 4-302 of the city ordinance, replacement of official zoning map, planning and zoning. Mr. Tim Soberg, Assistant City Administrator.
Thank you, Mr. President, Commission. From time to time, we adopt an official zoning map. We do update our zoning maps, as we just did a rezoning here in the past item. We update our interactive zoning map that's live and up to date for the public, so they know exactly what their zoning is at any given time. But from time to time, we update an official zoning map, which is a static map from the date that it's adopted and has some language on there that refers to that date. In so doing, our last time, we had a specific 3 properties when we were rezoning to the downtown mixed-use development district, and they're highlighted on the map before you within your staff report. These 3 properties were intended to be zoned to R1. Their adjacency to the DMU district would allow for some increased heights, and they wanted these 3 properties to be zoned R1, which provides a greater setback should they choose to have a greater height property there. So if they were going to do an apartment, they would have to increase their setback for every story above a certain story. Some of the properties down in this area were zoned R3, even though they were developed as single-family property. And so at the time when we did that rezoning, it was considered an appropriate thing to zone them R1, but it was missed on our official zoning map. So really tonight, we're just coming back to clean that up. Property owner noted it because he was looking at our interactive zoning map, really happy that he was using that. And caught that and gave me a call. So really, that's all we're doing tonight, just fixing that mistake that was done when we adopted that last zoning map. So tonight, a public hearing is scheduled. Planning and Zoning Commission has reviewed this and is passing on their recommendation for approval.
Thank you, Mr. Sobert. Questions for Mr. Sobert? All right. At this time, we're going to, again, gavel out of the regular agenda, and we are going into a public hearing. At this time, we are holding a public hearing in the first reading of a zoning ordinance amendment to section 4-302 of the city ordinances, the replacement of the official zoning map and planning and zoning. As Mr. Solberg has just stated, the last review of this was in January of 2020, and prior to that, it was in July 16th of 2018. So this is something that is ongoing. We do it on a regular basis. So we thank Tim and your team for updating this. We are in a public hearing. Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak about the zoning ordinance amendment to section 4-302? Anybody online? Thank you. Is there anybody from the public that would like to speak to the first reading and zoning ordinance amendment of section 4-302? Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak to the first reading of zoning ordinance amendment to section 4-302, item number 2 on the regular agenda? I close the public hearing. We move back into the regular agenda. Commissioners, do you have anything else for Mr. Solberg? Mr. Solberg, do you have anything additional for us?
No. I'll make a motion to approve.
Thank you, Commissioner Simmons. Is there a second, please?
Second.
Commissioner Jurdevig seconds. Been moved and seconded to approve the first reading of zoning ordinance amendment to section 4-302 of the city ordinances, a replacement of the official zoning map, planning and zoning as presented on May 3rd. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Mr. Solberg.
Thank you.
We are now on item number 3 of the regular agenda. Again, a public hearing and first reading of proposed North Pond at the Preserve 14th Edition rezoning. Mr. Tim Solberg, Assistant City Administrator.
Thank you, Mr. President. Again, a pretty simple, straightforward request here. This property, as you see on the map before you, has been zoned agricultural, which is pretty consistent with undeveloped property within city limits. We leave it zoned agricultural to kind of hold back and preserve it for future development. All of our previous plans for this area have shown this developing as light commercial. The developer has marketed this extensively as light commercial, And today, the property owner is considering a sale to the applicant, and within that, they'd like to get through this entitlement phase of ensuring that it can then develop in the future as light commercial. So alongside the rezoning request, a plat has come forward. It's a standard plat. There's no right-of-way added with it. We expect that there will be a future plat that will show this then split up into more developable lots in the future. However, we do like to have platting and zoning occur at the same time to ensure that we have access to adequate services, et cetera. So tonight, first reading is proposed for rezoning to light commercial. We do have 5 conditions within the staff report. One condition that the owner would like to add is that, as a 6th condition, that recording and final approval of the plat is conditional on the applicant or its successors or assigns obtaining title to the property. So this is all going to kick off a sale to the applicant, and to ensure that, you know, everything is met prior to that sale, they want to just kind of hold that on to when it's sold. And we've done this in the past. We did it with the Hornbacher's property at Gateway West, and John's reviewed that. We feel pretty comfortable with that process. So adding that as a condition, we'll hold off that recording until that sale's occurred. Planning Commission reviewed this and has had no comments from any property owners, just some questions about more information. That was it. At their April 13th meeting, they have forwarded their recommendation for approval with the 5 conditions, and then I added that 6th since that time. So if you need more clarification on that, I can provide that to Emily.
Thank you, Mr. Solberg.
Thank you.
Questions?
I'll make a motion to approve. I'm sorry.
Public hearing is scheduled.
Apologize.
Public hearing.
Great.
All right. We're going to close our regular agenda and move into the public hearing for the first reading of the proposed North Pond at the Preserve 14th Edition rezoning. Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak to this issue? Sir, please join us. Come to the podium. State your name and address, please.
Mayor Dardis, other commission members, my name is Dan Woody. I am the attorney for the current owners of the property. I am not the attorney for the applicant, but just Tim did a very good job summarizing. I would just add one clarification, that we would like both the zoning and the platting conditioned on a transfer of title. The plat configuration would be vastly different if somebody else bought this property. We may zone it differently if somebody else bought this property. So we just have a little chicken and egg thing going on here. There's no subdivision required for this sale since we're transferring the entire current parcel. So I would just ask that both entitlement applications before you, being the zoning and the platting, be conditioned upon a transfer of title, which we expect to occur in 45 days.
Thank you, Dan.
Any questions?
Mr. Solberg, with regard to the request of the legal counsel, your thoughts, your comments?
No problem.
Okay.
Mr. President.
Thank you, sir. Any questions for the gentleman, the legal counsel? Okay. Is there anyone that else would like to speak to the first reading of the proposed North Pond at the Preserve 14th Edition rezoning? Is there anyone else that would like to speak to the first reading of the proposed North Pond at the Preserve at the 14th Edition rezoning? Hearing none, the public hearing is closed. We move back into the regular agenda.
I would make a motion to approve with those 2 requirements amended.
Okay, Tim, is it a total of 5 or 6?
That would be
conditions?
the 6th condition.
6 conditions, okay.
Yeah.
Very good. Thank you, Commissioner. Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Olson seconds. Been moved and seconded to approve the first reading of the zoning ordinance amendment to section, I'm on the wrong one. Public hearing and first reading of the proposed North Pond at the Preserve 14th Edition rezoning with the 6 conditions. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item number 4 on the regular agenda is a enterprise grant request of Birchwood Salon. Ms. Lauren Orchard, Economic Development Director for the City of West Fargo. Good evening.
Thank you, Commission President Dardis, and good evening, Commissioners. I'm happy to report that we have another fantastic business, Birchwood Salon and Boutique, hoping to relocate and expand into West Fargo through the Enterprise Grant Program. The business owner, Christina Holmes, is here this evening to offer a brief presentation on Birchwood Salon. But before I welcome her up to the podium, I would like to provide an overview of the Enterprise Grant and the positive impacts that would come from Birchwood Salon and Boutique's proposed investment. West Fargo's Enterprise Grant Program uses economic development sales tax to leverage private investment that meets the development needs of the community in the downtown mixed-use district. To attract needed investment, the grant program offers successful applicants 50% reimbursement for fit-up costs up to $75,000 in public funds for a $150,000 private investment. The Enterprise Grant Program has brought key businesses into the downtown mixed-use district, including Thunder Coffee and Ferguson Books. Birchwood Salon has applied to join these successful applicants by offering to invest $154,754.72 in a 918 square foot space within the Pioneer Place building, just to the south of D.A. Davidson. The building owner, Epic Companies, has offered a $22,950 allowance for the project, reducing the applicant's request of the City Commission to $65,902.36 in grant funds for a private investment of $131,804.72. The applicant has stated that without the support of an enterprise grant, they would be unable to complete their investment at the proposed amount and would instead limit their fit-up to a one-chair salon. However, if the applicant receives the requested enterprise grant, the salon would bring 3 stylists, making between $80,000 to $100,000 per year, and 2 front-of-house staff making around $15 an hour, plus commission. Beyond adding these new jobs into West Fargo, Birchwood Salon would also provide a walk-in boutique, serving the city's ongoing need for additional retail in the downtown mixed-use district. Overall, the proposed investment would bring a unique business to West Fargo while diversifying retail offerings and enhancing consumer foot traffic in the downtown mixed-use district, which would benefit all neighboring businesses and increase sales tax revenue collected by the city. Due to these benefits, the city's review and preview committees, comprised of economic development, planning, public works, engineering, and fire, along with the West Fargo Parks District, have recommended approval of the project. The city's Economic Development Advisory Committee, comprised of local businesses from 6 different industries, have also recommended approval of the proposed enterprise grant. And so with that, I'd now like to offer the floor to Christina Holmes to present her investment to the Commission.
Thank you, Ms. Orchard. Good evening, welcome.
Good evening, Mayor Dardis and Commissioners. It is an absolute honor to be here in front of you today presenting for the Enterprise Grant. This incentive program truly gives me the opportunity to build my dream into a reality, and for that I am extremely grateful. My name is Christina Holmes. My husband and I are proud residents of West Fargo. We actually just built a home a couple years ago in the Brooks Harbor neighborhood. We absolutely love seeing all of the new development and the thoughtful redevelopment that you're doing in certain areas of town. The thought and effort that you're putting into these projects does not go unnoticed by the community, so thank you for that as well. Before I get into telling you about Birchwood Salon and Boutique, I want to give you a little background on myself. I have been a cosmetologist for 20 years. 4.5 years ago, I started up my own small one-person salon that I run out of a suite that I rent currently in Fargo. I have seen great success with that business, and I owe that all to my incredibly loyal and amazing clientele. Beyond that, I'm also an educator within the industry, so I travel around to different salons and teach advanced training classes to other stylists as well, helping to increase their confidence behind the chair, elevate their skill set, and help them be successful in their own businesses. So without further ado, let me introduce you to Birchwood Salon and Boutique. As Lauren mentioned, Birchwood will be located within Pioneer Place. just south of the D.A. Davidson office building. On this slide, it's a little hard to see, so I'll try to zoom it in, is our fit-up plan for the space. The entire storefront is dedicated for the boutique, reception and waiting area. You'll see 2 styling stations and a private suite that will be for the salon. I will occupy one of those stations, and then the other station will be a rental, so that will be an opportunity for another independent stylist to come in and operate their own business within Birchwood Salon and Boutique. And the private suite will be rented out to a different type of service provider, such as a massage therapist or esthetician, to allow us to provide an even more diverse service menu to the community that we will be serving. As far as the aesthetics of the space go, I really wanted to stay along with the vibe of the current downtown West Fargo area. So everything is very modern but comfortable, upscale but inviting, so that our customers can feel very welcomed when they come in, but also feel like they are receiving a high-end and upscale service and shopping opportunity. Birchwood Salon and Boutique will be 918 square feet. As I mentioned before, we will be equipped for 2 full-time cosmetologists, and one of those booths will be rented out to an independent service provider. Another suite will also be rented out to a different type of service provider, expanding our service menu for the community. We also have a manicure and pedicure station within the salon, so we will be providing a full-service salon atmosphere for the community as well. 180 square feet is set aside for retail reception and waiting, and the boutique itself will feature solely goods that are purchased from women-owned small businesses, both locally and throughout the United States. Those items include everything from t-shirts and sweatshirts to jewelry to home goods and paper goods such as journals and planners and cards. So it will really provide a very unique shopping experience to the community as well. On average, I expect each service provider to see approximately 25 people per week, bringing 75 people into the salon and into the downtown area for the salon alone, which will definitely increase foot traffic to the neighboring businesses as well. So to give you an idea of how we generate our income as service providers, as I mentioned before, we see approximately 25 guests per week. The average ticket price for a cosmetologist is $80, and that is before tips and retail sales. So approximately $2,000 in income per week is generated for one service provider. Examples of my current pricing, so that you can get an idea of how that income is actually generated. A woman's haircut is $55 and takes about 45 minutes. A balayage, which is an advanced hair coloring technique, costs $170 to $190 and takes approximately 2.5 hours. Hair extension installation is $350 and takes about an hour and a half. I am actually currently the only hairstylist in North Dakota that offers the type of hair extensions that I do within my salon, which is a huge draw for the salon itself as well. And then a brow wax and tint is $35 and takes about 20 minutes. So that's just a different variety of services that I currently offer, the timings and the prices. A massage therapist or esthetician will see 6 to 7 clients per day with an average ticket price of $75 to $85 per client. And that's not including tips or retail sales either. So their income is actually has the potential to be even more than the cosmetologist per week. And as far as the boutique goes, an average item in the boutique costs about $50. The next slide gives you an example of actually my current service menu. So I offer everything from men's, women's, and children's haircuts to facials to bridal styling and makeup. So I already provide a very wide array of services within my salon. However, I currently book out 8 to 9 weeks in my salon, so the need for another hairstylist is definitely there, especially with moving to a new community with new members to service. So that will be a great opportunity for another cosmetologist as well coming in to build a very successful business. The potential to add other services is provided by that suite that we have for rent. And depending on what type of service provider we get in there, we could have a wide array of different services provided, from massage to facials to lash extensions, microblading, spray tans, chemical peels, microdermabrasions, and body wraps. So that suite rental within Birchwood Salon and Boutiques definitely gives us the opportunity to add even more value to the community that we'll be serving. And I'd just like to point out before I go even further, I know Lauren mentioned this, but without the grant, I would be just looking to open up my own small salon and boutique with just me as a service provider. So this grant really gives it the opportunity to not only expand my business, but to give the opportunity to 2 other service providers to build their businesses and also service the community better. Birchwood Boutique, as I mentioned before, will offer a variety of goods sourced solely from women-owned small businesses, both locally and throughout the United States. My experience within the beauty industry has sparked a huge passion within me to help support, uplift, and encourage other women, and that's really the foundation to Birchwood Salon and Boutique. So that's why I'm really focused on supporting other women-owned small businesses within the boutique and being able to offer very unique goods to the community as well. Some benefits I see Birchwood Salon and Boutique bringing to the West Fargo downtown area are increased foot traffic for neighboring businesses. I know that my clients will love to stop into Thunder Coffee and grab a coffee before or after their services. They'll stop into Ferguson bookstores and Grateful to do a bit of shopping. And I know that they'll love to have a cocktail and some dinner at the VFW or the Silver Dollar afterwards. We will offer the community a comfortable, high-end space to indulge in self-care and relax. Replacing and upgrading the salon that was currently in this location prior to the revitalization project. So this will actually replace that and bring that service opportunity back into the community as well. As I mentioned, we will have a variety of different services under one roof, so we'll be kind of a one-stop shop for our customers coming in to receive their beauty services. And we'll also provide that unique retail opportunity for the community, which I truly believe will be a destination shopping experience to add to the current retail opportunities in that area. If I learned anything over the past year dealing with the pandemic as a small business owner, it's that our community is passionate about supporting small business. My clientele showed up for me in so many unexpected ways, and I know that they are behind and support this project with all of their hearts, and I know our community will show up for it as well. Birchwood Salon and Boutique will also be great word-of-mouth advertising for the downtown West Fargo area. Many of my existing clientele comes from other parts of town or out of town. I actually have clientele who come in from South Dakota, Minnesota, northern North Dakota, and those clients are completely unaware of this area of town. So the fact that they'll be coming in every 4 to 8 weeks to receive their services in the downtown West Fargo area is going to increase awareness of this area and also increase foot traffic to all of the other businesses that are currently there and that will be moving in there in the future. And as I've done with my current salon, I will be hosting regular customer appreciation events and shopping events within Birchwood to, again, increase foot traffic, awareness, and just build a community in that area. So that is my plan for Birchwood Salon and Boutique. I want to thank you again for your consideration and for your time today. It's an absolute honor to be here in front of you, and I really appreciate the opportunity. I'm available for any questions if you have any.
Thank you, Mrs. Holmes.
You're welcome.
Commissioners, any questions of the lady?
I'll just make the comment that, this is probably one of the best presentations that we've had up here for this, so I appreciate that. And Lauren, I don't think you'll be able to help me.
Oh, you never know.
On many levels.
I did like the extension part, but I'm sure you will help many women, so.
Yes, thank you very much.
On many levels. Commissioner Simmons beat me to it. I was going to say that, you know, we've, there's been a number of us, 3 of us up here that have been here for just 3 years, and of course, Commissioner Simmons has 12-plus years on the commission, and I've monitored many city commission meetings, and without a doubt, this is one of the best presentations that I've ever seen, so.
Thank you.
Congratulations to you. Again, any questions for Mrs. Holmes? Well done. Any questions for Ms. Orchard? Okay.
I would make a motion to approve.
Commissioner Diedrich moves to approve the grant request for Birchwood Salon. Is there a second, please?
Second.
Commissioner Olson seconds. Been moved and seconded to approve the grant request for Birchwood Salon as outlined in the presentation of Ms. Orchard this evening.
Thank you very much.
Is there any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Congratulations, Mrs. Holman. And we're delighted that you're a West Fargo resident, and we're even more delighted that you're going to be a resident of Cheyenne Street. Thank you for coming. The next order of business is item number 5, the approve the City of West Fargo employee values. Tina Fisk, City Administrator for the City of West Fargo.
Good evening, Commission President and Commissioners. I guess I drew the short straw. It was supposed to be Melissa, Jenna, but it ended up on me. But it's an exciting topic. It's one that I'm very happy to speak about and tell you all about. But I'll try and keep it concise so I don't spend too much of your time, as I've talked with quite a few of you on this whole topic. Our organizational values, we've been working on this for quite some time. For those of you, when it was Bernie and Brad, when you guys were very first elected, we had only had 1 or 2 meetings discussing this topic. So that was 2018. So it's been a long time. Between all the different things we were working on and then the pandemic, everything got put on hold. But we haven't forgotten about it. And to let you know, in the meantime, some of what took so long is that the goals, we went through what you guys gave us as information from those initial meetings and the way we see how business should be done in the City of West Fargo. And we took it through department heads and then all other levels of management and every single employee that works for the City of West Fargo. And so these aren't goals that just a department head came up with or those of us got in a group. And these came from the top down, bottom up, and everyone believes in them. We're excited about them and very anxious to keep the process moving forward and start implementing these even more than we already do right now. So, and as you know, we plan on using these for performance management. As we interact daily, they'll be top of mind, making sure that we remember what it is that we're supposed to be doing. Just get it into the point where it's just ingrained in our brain and it just is what we always do. Decision-making, recruitment, and retention, because having values is something that is even more enticing to the younger generation at this time. They want to know what the business stands for or the entity. They want to know that you're actually following through on the things that you say you stand for. So these are huge things. As you can see here, it started May of 18, and here we are in May, presenting to you, and then we will have a kickoff event for employees sometime in June. And so we'll keep you posted on all of that. These are our 5 values that were vetted through the entire staff after having a couple meetings with you guys. Integrity, service, teamwork, compassion, and respect. We did have, in the police department and the fire department, they have additional values of their own, I believe the library as well, because their services are a little bit different. The only one that really became one that we talked about a lot, how to put it together, was teamwork, family, that type of thing. And we felt that as a city as a whole, we should use the term teamwork. But in those areas like fire, police, so forth, that they deal with difficult things day and night, they need an additional set of values that align with these, that give them more than what they need. So if you do see that some of them have other ones in addition, that is why. And that is a very respected thing. I totally understand that. What we did then, we started with the employees at the ground level and said, what do these 5 terms mean to you? And we wanted to come up with just basic understanding, just so that if someone's, just kind of running it through their head, they can understand. So integrity is doing what's right, even when no one's looking. Service is naturally just doing for others, which is very much government related. Teamwork, working towards a shared goal. And for those of you that know how we work around here, that is a huge, huge part of every single thing we do every single day. So that'll be an extremely easy one along with the others. Compassion is treating others with care. That is a value that I believe the city staff as a whole, we do that on a regular basis as well. We care about our fellow coworkers. There's not a hierarchy to anybody. We're there for each other, and that's important. And respect, treating others the way you want to be treated. So through these 5, we felt we had gotten a really strong list. Everyone is interested. Everyone agreed to them. All staff are ready to follow them. And at this time, I would just ask that you ask me any questions that you may have regarding these values. And then I would request that you would approve these as the City of West Fargo core values. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Fisk. Questions for Mrs. Fisk? Comments? Commissioners?
Do you want that in a motion, Mayor?
No, if you have any comments or questions on the document in itself.
No.
I have a copy of it with me, and I'm looking for it right now. I have one point out. There it is. Excuse me. Thank you. It took a while for the development into this to get here, and I think it's a worthy task that was performed by the department's heads and your administrative team, and obviously we as commissioners appreciate that you've done this. The items that it addresses in here, Mrs. Fisk, are all appropriate, all worthy of good discussion and the like. The organizational values, can you explain how this transcends to the services that we provide to the taxpayers? You've had great dialogue about how you treat one another with respect, and we've all witnessed that on a first-hand basis, on a daily basis, and how really quite well the departments work together. But how does this apply to the outside these walls and into the public?
Thank you, President Dardis. When I look at these, and I think of the public, that is who we're here to serve. Integrity, we work with them on an honest level. Not everyone's going to agree on the same things, but what we do is as people come in, we do the best we can. We serve them the best way we possibly can, and we go forward and treat them as they should be treated as the people that we are working for. Service is what we do every day. You can see our staff, whether it's the gentlemen driving the garbage truck that go and honk for parties and let kids climb on their garbage trucks, or whether it's the police department going out of their way, or city staff trying to help somebody find an answer to a question, even though it's not their department. That is something that is huge and foundational to the City of West Fargo. We're very much a family community, and so that is a huge part of it. Teamwork is, again, we do this every day, and it's huge. It's important to us. You know, we don't work in these jobs for the money. We work in these jobs because we're passionate about West Fargo and we're passionate about the team, and that is what gets us going every single day. Compassion is not only having understanding and compassion for your fellow coworkers, but the public. There are so many people in the public that you don't know what they're going through in a regular day. The reason they're calling and maybe screaming at you is because they have other things going on. And so it's a matter of being empathetic and listening and trying to get to the bottom of what you can do to try and make their day better, but being honest at the same time. And respect is the same thing. Every single citizen, I don't care who you are, you should all have the equal level of respect. And that's how we are as staff as well. There isn't one person that gets respected more or less than the other. Same with citizens. So therefore, that is a huge part of what we do.
Thank you. Commissioners, anything additional? I would encourage, we also have in the crowd this evening Jenna Wilm, who is our Human Resources Director for the City of West Fargo. And I would hope that this document moving forward is a part of your annual reviews and reminders if there's issues between employees or with an issue of an employee. We sat through a number of these meetings as commissioners, and it was great dialogue, and it was great interaction by the staff. I only wish more of the public could have been there to experience what we did experience. So that being said, that let's not just put this document on the shelf. This is a document that has to be part of what we believe as an organization. And as Mrs. Fisk just stated, it not only internally for our internal customers of the people that we work with, but certainly the public as a general that we serve. So with that, Commissioner Olson.
As city commissioners, I feel we should also abide by these core values too, rather than just the employees. We all, 5 of us, should.
Well said.
I would assume that this would include us as well. You're correct, and I would hope that now that we're officially doing this, that we'd actually put this on our website.
Oh, yes.
And have our values, and perhaps next we can work on the vision and get that up and running. And because as myself, and I look at these, I look at the integrity, I look at the compassion, and I look at the respect. And I think in my mind, quite honestly, as all of us, I'm hoping it's just not me, but sometimes we don't do that. We act differently, and we get angry, or we don't use these. And so when I look at this, it's a good thing to have. It's a good thing to look at and say, hey, slow down a little bit and look these over. So I think it'll help all of us.
Well said. I agree. All right. Anything else additional for Mrs. Fisk? Do you want this as an action item, Mrs. Fisk?
Yes, I would love to have you make a motion.
I would make a motion that we approve this.
Thank you, Commissioner Simmons. Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Diedrich seconds. Been moved and seconded to approve the City of West Fargo's employee values as presented this evening. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners. You will see a lot more coming out on this. It'll not only be on our website, but it'll be within the building. There'll be lots of things that we'll be doing. So any ideas you come up with when you see what we're up to, just let us know. Thank you.
It's great. Let's just remember to all live it. All right, item number 6 and the project number 6057, Justin Scott, lead engineer for the City of West Fargo. Mr. Scott.
Good evening. Thank you, Commission President Dartis and Commissioners. Let me scroll through our agenda item here. So this project number 6057, this was reviewed at the last meeting. There's really no new information to bring forward. As you recall, the Commission did approve the engineer's report and directed staff to move forward with the final plans and specifications. So we went ahead and executed prepared a draft task order with more engineering, which is attached to your packet. The amount of the task order is $128,100. So with that, I would answer any questions you have.
Thank you, Mr. Scott. Questions, Commissioner, for Mr. Scott? Again, Mr. Scott is here on project number 6057, and he is asking us to approve task order number 37-1.
Make the motion to approve.
Thank you, Commissioner Olson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Diedrich. Moved and seconded to approve the task order number 37-1 for project number 6057. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item number 7 is project number 1338, again presented by Mr. Dustin Scott, Head of Engineering for the City of West Fargo, to approve a task order number 43-1. Mr. Scott.
Thank you again, Commissioner President Dardis, Commissioners. Just like the previous item, this item was reviewed at the April 19th meeting, where the Commission did authorize a draft task order for basic services for project number 1338. So again, attached to your packet, you have all the details for the task order. The amount is $152,000, and we are recommending approving the task order number 43-1 for project 1338. With that, I would answer any questions.
Questions for Mr. Scott?
I would make a motion to approve.
Thank you, Commissioner Diedrich. We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Olson seconds. Been moved and seconded to approve project number 1338, approve the task order 43-1 as presented by Mr. Scott. Is there any further discussion? Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Mr. Scott.
Thank you.
Item number 8 is Excel Energy's 9th Street project. I have Mr. Shockley, City Attorney for the City of West Fargo, and Excel Energy as representatives online. Is there anyone in the building from Excel Energy? My understanding is that we have a Brian Sullivan and a Sheena Fennel representing Excel Energy. So we'll start with Mr. Shockley, please.
Thank you, Mr. Commission President, members of the West Fargo City Commission. You'll recall on April 19th, the city engineering staff presented information regarding the project specifics of the XL gas line being relocated. I had been working with the engineering department regarding the agreement with XL Energy and the City of West Fargo. Just as a little bit of background, per the franchise ordinance that the city currently has in place with XL Energy, the XL Energy needs to have a street cut permit, and so the agreement is based upon that street cut permit. The franchise ordinance is very specific, as is the agreement, so when they do make improvements or have projects that occur within the city, they need to restore the construction of the area to the condition it was before. They're required to give notices to the city, and they also have to indemnify the city for these projects. So if there's an accident or something, and the city gets somehow sued as part of just authorizing a project, they have to indemnify us. They also pay the City of West Fargo a 2% franchise fee as part of that franchise. And so this agreement is intended to supplement that franchise agreement. It's not intended to replace it, because the franchise ordinance and agreement are much more comprehensive and provide the city with extensive protections. The intent behind this agreement was to call out the specifics of the construction project, how the city staff, the engineering, along with XL Energy's engineers and workers were going to coordinate the actual construction of the project. Dustin Scott, the city engineer, can certainly answer any specifics about the engineering. Some of the important items that I thought were critical to call out in the agreement were making sure that the actual utility work was going to be conducted during regular hours, so that we didn't have residents that were complaining that there was backup alarms and construction work going on at 10 at night or 5 in the morning, and also that they would provide appropriate signage, that they would get the appropriate permits, that it was their responsibility as a permittee to get the stormwater permits, any environmental permits, any approvals from the PSC. Some of the other critical components are the performance guarantees. We're requiring XL Energy to post a letter of credit. You'll see in the draft that's in your commission packet. We don't have a date or time for that because we would approve the agreement and then add the letter of credit after the agreement is approved. That would be in the amount of $150,000. The nice thing about a letter of credit is that the city as a beneficiary can draw upon that letter of credit at any time for a violation of the agreement. In addition, we are requesting that that Xcel Energy will warranty the trees. If there's any trees that are damaged, they would have to warranty them. And then after the warranty period, they'll also provide a warranty fee of $600 per tree, so that after 2 years, if the tree isn't growing or something's wrong with it, the city would be able to go in and replace it. In Section 1201, we're requiring them to maintain reasonable commercial access. There is one minor change that we don't have an issue with, and the Xcel Energy had requested to use good faith efforts to maintain that. Good faith is defined within the agreement, and what that means is will be certain periods of time in which you can't maintain access because the backhoe is actually physically doing the work, or they need to close the intersection temporarily while trucks go through. Those sorts of things are covered under good faith, that you would use that, and we would hope that they would work closely with the city engineer if they can move a bore pit a little bit further in order to maintain the commercial traffic. That's what we'd hope for. Indemnification, that's still very similar to the franchise agreement. And so, as staff, we're prepared to recommend moving forward with the agreement between Xcel and the city to go ahead with the project. This is consistent with the franchise ordinance. And I did want to note one thing that came up in some of the discussion about trees. Any of our franchise holders are authorized by the franchise to have the ability to trim trees to get around their utilities. So whether it's an overhead utility company and a tree is interfering with the utility lines, touching them so that it can cause sparking or arcing, or whether it's an underground utility like a cable company or a gas company that there's roots growing into they can come in and do something about the trees to maintain the safety of that franchise. And so I think we've done a comprehensive job of covering the issues. The city engineer can certainly answer any of the engineering issues. We defer to them. But I think we're ready to proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Shockley. Anything additional, Mr. Scott, that you'd like to add?
One additional item, thank you, Commissioner President Dardis, for the opportunity. One point that John did make is there's a potential to use a third-party consultant to help with the project management throughout this. We have drafted a task order for more engineering in case we do need to rely on those efforts. It is within the threshold of the city administrator to review and approve, but I didn't want to let the city commission know that we are going to execute that task order upon the approval of this agreement. So.
Thank you for sharing that information.
Thank you.
Emily? Do we have any questions of Mr. Sullivan or Ms. Fennell from Xcel Energy? We have Brian Sullivan and Sheena Fennell are listening. Any questions from the commissioners to them, to Xcel Energy? After the discussions that have been ongoing with regard to this project coming through our community, thank you, Mr. Shockley, for your efforts. Mr. Scott, thank you. And to Xcel Energy, thank them also. We had some very serious concerns several weeks ago with regard to the route that it was going to go and the effect that it might possibly have on some very established trees within our community. And all of us as commissioners were very concerned about that. And I've had a number of conversations with Xcel Energy also, with their North Dakota manager, Mr. Grinberg, and they've been most responsive and most understanding. And so we appreciate the efforts of Xcel Energy to address some of the issues that we had previously at this commission meeting. So again, Ms. Hagemeister, do they have their hands up or anything?
Nope. I think they were just available in case.
Okay, yeah, and again, questions for them? All right, commissioners?
I'll make the motion to approve.
Thank you, Commissioner Olson. Is there a second, please?
Second.
Commissioner Diedrich seconds. Been moved and accepted, moved and approved, moved and seconded, excuse me, Excel Energy's 9th Street project, as presented by Mr. Shockley and Mr. Scott this evening, and in conjunction with Excel Energy over and above the franchise agreement that we have with them. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you all. Item number 9 is an engineer's report from Mr. Scott.
Thank you again, Commissioner President Dardis and Commissioners. Again, not a lot to report on. I will touch on the downtown reconstruction project. Things are going well. The report I got today is that the contractor is hopeful that they can start some paving operations by the end of this week. So, our communications department has been sending out, I know, updates on social media on Friday afternoons with the aerial views to see the progress. I recommend anyone from the public that is interested in reviewing that, either go on to our westfargostreets.com or follow the social media links that are being sent out Fridays. So great news that the project is certainly on schedule. I don't want to overpromise at this point that we're ahead of schedule, but it's great to be certainly on schedule, and hopefully we can see that paving start as early as the end of this week. So other than that, there are other projects are getting started out in the area, but not much to report on at this point. So with that, I'll answer any questions.
I walked the downtown project yesterday, Sunday, and they have made some great headway. Ms. Orchard, could I ask a question of you from a perspective as our Economic Development Director? Any insight, comments, feedback from anybody of your businesses that are on Cheyenne? Anything to report? Anything we need to be concerned about? Obviously, it's disruptive. We understand that, but is there anything at all that you'd like to share with us?
Thank you for that question and for your concern for our businesses, Commission President Dardis. We have maintained constant communication with our businesses, so everyone has my phone number downtown. So when issues have come up, they've been able to call me, and we've been able to solve them pretty immediately. We've had some issues with people parking in some alleyways. We've had some issues with some things being placed somewhere from the construction project, but they're taken care of within the day because we have that great communication network. So I think it's been going very well. Of course, it is always a headache, but we've also been very diligent about signage and making sure that we've got good routes for customers. But I also do want to say that phase 2 and 3 will be pretty hard on a lot of the businesses down there. We haven't really seen the big brunt of the project yet, but we're in that preparation mode right now for those other phases. So, but thank you for that question.
You bet. Thank you. Anyone else? Good. All right. Mr. Scott, thank you for your engineer's report. Mrs. Fisk, City Administrator's report, and an update on the Love Your Local gift card program, please.
Thank you, Commission President and Commissioners. I will start with the Love Your Local update because that's listed on there. And Lauren was kind enough to provide me this information today, so thank you, Lauren, for your work on this. It was a huge success. We had 38,606 individual transactions transpire and a total of almost $160,000 spent in the economy. The top users of the program, I would say, were Hornbacher's, Cashwise, Spitfire, Diener's, Diner, Blarney Stone Pub, Jail Beers, Boston's Pizza, Traditions, Restaurant and Bar, Ostrom's, Ace Hardware, Dairy Queen, and Eagle Run, and Spicy Pie and Fargo. So what you wanted the project to accomplish, it definitely accomplished. And that ended the end of the month, and we have not had any complaints or comments. I think it was just a huge success, so thank you very much for allowing that to be done. The other items we have are Color Fest will be this Saturday from 10 to 4, so if you want to come and bring your kids, grandkids, whatever, hopefully it's a beautiful day and it should be fun. There is going to be vendors there as well, so it should be hopefully a really good, busy event. I think it'll be a lot of fun. So this Saturday, 10 to 4. The parking lot downtown that we had discussed getting put in place to help with the parking issues is almost complete, so that should be done this week. And so that will be available soon. One other comment, this week is Public Service Recognition Week. So if you see any of the people running around that not only citywide, but countywide, however, state, whatever, you tell them thank you for all that they do to make our world a greater place. And last but not least, I have a breakdown of a survey that Jenna Wilmer, our HR director, did with our staff concerning COVID vaccination. And what we had is 76% of our employees participated in the survey. Of that 76%, 84% have received or plan to receive a vaccination. Of those 84%, 96% received their first dose or their only dose if it was Johnson & Johnson. 94% of those that needed a second dose have gotten their second dose. And as of the end of the month, we had 77% of those people, it had been 2 weeks since they'd been vaccinated. So our staff has been amazing. They're doing a great job stepping up and make sure that they're keeping themselves, the customers that come into City Hall, and citizens safe and healthy. And I thank HR for doing that survey. It helps you get a perspective on what's going on with staff. So, do you have any questions for me?
Questions to Mrs. Fisk?
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Any correspondence, I guess? Yeah, I have a question. Do you have any correspondence you received?
There was only one item, and I apologize, I emailed it to you late. It was from the Red River Children's Advocacy Center. It was a thank you. And so that should be in your email boxes. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioners, do you have any non-agenda items you'd like to discuss this evening? Commissioner Olson?
Just a comment. I've driven around lately and I see that some of our city streets have been spruced up with some new paint. It looks very, very good.
Turning lanes?
Turning lanes, all that, white lines, yellow lines. Looks very good.
Okay.
Spring is here.
Yeah. Anyone else? Any non-agenda items the commissioners like to bring forward? Administrative staff, anything this evening? Mr. Solberg, Mrs. Fisk? Any department heads have anything that you'd like to bring forward this evening? All right. Commissioner Simmons?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Commissioner Olson?
Second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We stand adjourned. Thank you.